Chapter 1. The night slowly deepens, a silent, starry night sky. On the hillside, a child of 6 or 7 years old stood in a strange posture. His feet were open, his toes were on the ground, his heels were raised, his hands were raised high, and his head was slightly raised. A kind of aura of heaven and earth was swirling around his body. The moon is bright, pouring down, covering the child's body. The child always maintains this posture and constantly breathes in and out, and the aura of heaven and earth enters into his body with his breath and circulates continuously in his internal meridians. Night slowly passed. When the moonlight fades and the first ray of sunlight shines on the child slowly retracts his palms and opens his eyes. In his deep eyes, there are two sharp light. Huang Xiaolong vomited his turbid breath and gazed at the rising sun with his eyes like stars. He has been in this world for 7 years since he was born. It has been 4 years since he began to practice Yijin Jing when he was 3 years old. In 4 years, he has cultivated Yijin Jing to the 3rd trend and held Tianmen. In the last life, his ancestors were disciples of Shaolin Temple. This book of Yijin Jing was handed down from his ancestors. Up to now, Huang Xiaolong still doesn't understand how he, a martial arts wizard known by his family as rare in 100 years, suddenly crosses the world after waking up. And to his dismay, he was attached to this newly born kid. Huang Xiaolong looks at his tiny arm and laughs bitterly. He was 17 years old in his last life. After 14 years of hard training, he finally got Yijin Jing to the 9th form. He didn't expect to start from scratch. At this time, a small sound of footsteps came to Huang Xiaolong's ears. It came from the bottom of the hillside. Huang Xiaolong didn't have to look back to know who was coming. Sure enough, a coquettish voice rang out. "Brother, I knew you were here to watch the sunrise again. Father and mother are looking for you." Huang Xiaolong turns his head and sees a lovely girl of 5 or 6 years old with 2 long braids and round eyes coming up from the hillside. This is Huang Xiaolong's younger sister Huang Min. In addition to Huang Min, Huang Xiaolong also has a younger brother, Huang Xiaohai, who is 3 years younger. "Father and mother looking for me." "Huang Xiaolong, what's the matter?" "I don't know." Huang Min's voice still has some milk gas. "Big brother, let's go back quickly, otherwise it will be late, and father and mother will hit your ass again." Huang Xiaolong sniffed the speech with a smile, pinched his sister Huang Min's lovely little face and said with a smile, "Let's go." Huang Min touched the little face pinched by Huang Xiaolong. With a small mouth toot, he said angrily, "Elder brother is so annoying. I told you that you are not allowed to pinch my face in the future." However, as soon as Huang Min's voice falls, Huang Xiaolong pinches his face again. After Huang Xiaolong pinches it, he runs away with a smile. Huang Min squeals and chases after him. "Brother, stop." As a result, the two brothers and sisters one after another frolic from the hillside to the foot of the mountain Wangjiazhuang run back. In the last life, although Huang Xiaolong was a 17-year-old boy, he sometimes had a childlike innocence with his sister Huang Min. Soon, brother and sister returned to Wangjiazhuang. When he returned to Wangjiazhuang, Huang Xiaolong came to the East Palace. When he came to the palace, he saw a middle-aged man about 30 years old, elegant in appearance, sword eyebrows and red nose, and dressed in a white robe. Next to the middle-aged man was a pretty young woman. These were Huang Xiaolong's father, Huang Peng, and his mother, Su Yan. "Father, mother, do you want me?" Huang Xiaolong enters the palace and asks. Huang Peng's sword eyebrow a vertical, "Where did you go early in the morning?" "Well, don't scare the children." Su Yan then said with a smile, "Longer, you will be 7 years old in a few days. When you are about 7 years old, your body's spirit can be awakened. Later, we will take you to the martial arts hall to arouse the spirit in your body." The awakening of martial spirit. Huang Xiaolong was stunned. In this world, there are martial spirits in the human body. The strength of a soldier is closely related to the spirit in his body. There are 10 levels of martial spirit, including low level, intermediate level and high level. There are super martial spirits above the 10 levels. Only with the spirit can they absorb the spirit of heaven and earth and become a soldier. Of course, there are also some people who have no martial spirit in their bodies, or some people's martial spirits are useless and cannot be cultivated. Such people are completely useless. Martial spirit. Huang Xiaolong's eyes twinkle, and he also wants to know if there is a spirit in his body, or what his spirit is. Therefore, under the leadership of Huang Peng and Su Yan, Huang Xiaolong came to the Wudian of Wangjiazhuang. When he came to the Wudian was already full of people. Besides Huang Xiaolong, there were other disciples of Wang Jiazhuang. In the middle of the Wu Hall stands a dignified middle-aged man with a square face and thick eyebrows. His body is full of momentum, which gives people an invisible oppression. This is Huang Ming, the elder brother of Huang Xiaolong's father. Beside Huang Ming, there is a child about the same age as Huang Xiaolong. He is Huang Wei, the second son of Huang Ming. Huang Wei is 1 month older than Huang Xiaolong. This time, he also came to Wu Dian for martial arts awakening. Huang Peng and Su Yan took Huang Xiaolong to the center of the hall and said, "Elder brother." Huang Xiaolong called uncle after his parents. When Huang Ming sees Huang Peng and Su Yan arrives, his expressionless face becomes loose and nods his head and says, "Here you are." In Huang Xiaolong's memory, he has never seen this uncle Huang Ming laugh. Huang Ming is in charge of the criminal law of Wang Jiazhuang and is strict. After Huang Ming finished speaking, he did not speak again. Huang Peng was familiar with his elder brother's temperament. He was not surprised. Huang Xiaolong's arrival did not take long before a burst of hearty laughter broke out outside the hall. Huang Xiaolong and the others looked out of the hall and saw a tall old man walking into the hall surrounded by a group of people. The old man was Huang Xiaolong's grandfather, Huang Kaide, and the leader of Wang Jiazhuang. Huang Kaide established Wang Jiazhuang 40 years ago. Old master. When Huang Kaide arrived, all the Wang Jiazhuang disciples in the hall immediately saluted one after another. Huang Ming, Huang Peng and Su Yan all stepped forward. "Dad." Huang Xiaolong and Huang Wei came forward and called, "Grandfather." With a smile on his face, Huang Kaide nodded to Huang Ming and then said with a smile to the disciples of Wang Jiazhuang in the hall, Okay, don't be too polite. I'm just here to have a look today." Originally, every year when the martial arts hall was opened, Huang Kaide would not come to Wang Jiazhuang's disciples to awaken their martial spirits. However, this year is different because Huang Xiaolong and Huang Wei, who were originally closed, went out of the gate specially. Huang Kaide came to the front of the hall and scanned the people in the hall. Finally, his eyes fell on an old man with gray robes beside him. He said with a smile, "Since all the people are here, let's start." "Yes, master." The gray-robed old man respectfully answered, and then walked to the center of the hall. The old man in gray robe is Chen Ying, the housekeeper of Wang Jiazhuang. Huang Xiaolong has heard from his father that Chen Ying is the oldest old man who has followed his grandfather Huang Kaide for the longest time. Before the establishment of Wang Jiazhuang, he followed his grandfather Huang Kaide. Chen Yinglai came to the center of the hall, his hands were shining, and a terrifying force of terror spread from his body. Huang Xiaolong's eyes twinkle. Is this the fighting power of the top 9? How strong? Even if he practiced Yi Jin Jing to the 9th form in his previous life, he was definitely not Chen Ying's opponent. With Chen Ying's fighting power pouring in, the hexagonal pattern in the center of the hall suddenly flashed, and then the light was flourishing, forming columns of light. "Huang Wei, you go up." Huang Kaide looks at Huang Wei. "Yes, grandfather." Huang Wei responded. Then he came to the hexagonal pattern and walked into the light column. All the people in the hall were staring at Huang Wei, who was in the light column. Huang Ming, who had always been expressionless, looked at his son and was nervous. Huang Wei was surrounded by a hexagonal pattern light column. Before long, a black light suddenly appeared on Huang Wei. The black light was surging, and a black shadow appeared behind him. Behind him was a black tiger with 3 eyes. Everyone was shocked. Huang Kaide looks at the black shadow of the tiger behind his grandson Huang Wei. His eyes are bright, then he is surprised and laughs. "This is a level 10 martial spirit, a black tiger with 3 eyes," exclaimed the housekeeper Chen Ying, his voice trembling. Level 10 spirit, the top level of high-level spirit, is infinitely close to the existence of Super Soul. Huang Wei's Wuhan is a 10 level 1, 3-eyed black tiger. New books have been uploaded. The new period of a book is very important, so Shenjian hopes that even friends who have seen pirated books before can come to the starting point to collect new books and vote for recommendation. Thank you. The contract was sent out yesterday, and it will be signed by in 2 days, and you will be able to give a reward.